Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Miss Ria and my friends. Today, our group will present material about historical overview of the Restoration Age, which is on the social background of the Restoration era. The first member of our group is Uswatuni, and the second is Lala Puspita Sari, and the last is me, Enggar Vania P. Next, please. The first material will be delivered by Uswatuni. Uswatuni, time is yours.
Okay, Enggar, thank you. Hello, everyone. In this material, I will explain about historical overview of Restoration Age. The period from 1660 to 1700 is known as the Restoration period or the Age of Dryden. Dryden is the representative writer of this period. The restoration of King Charles II in 1660 marks the beginning of the new era both in the life and the literature of England. The king was received with wild joy on his return from exile. The change of government from commonwealth to kingship corresponded to change in the mood of the nation. In this period, the Renaissance delight in this world and the unlimited possibilities of the exploration of the world, and the moral zeal and the earnestness of the Puritan period could no more fascinate the people of England. And then Moody and Lovett remarked, but in the greater part of the Restoration period, there was awareness of the limitation of human experience, without faith in the extension of the resources. There was the disposition to accept such limitation to exploit the potentialities of a strictly human world. The historical events like the restoration of Charles II in 1660, the religious controversy, and the revolution of 1688 deeply influenced the social life and the literary movements of the age. Next slide, please. And then restoration divided into three. The first is the restoration itself, and the second is religious and political conflicts, and the last is the revolutions. Next slide. The first is the restoration. The restoration of Charles II brought about a revolutionary change in life and literature. During this period, gravity, moral earnestness, and decorum in all things, which distinguished the Puritan period, were thrown to the winds. The natural instincts, which were suppressed during the previous era, came to violence excesses. The king had a number of mistresses and numerous children. He was surrounded by corrupt and degenerate ministers. Profligacy was glorified in the royal court. Corruption was rampant in all walks of life. The Great Fire of 1665 and the plague that followed were popularly regarded as suitable punishment for the sins of the profligate and selfish king. While London was burning and the people were suffering, the king and his nobles kept up their revels. The beginning of the Restoration began the process of social transformation. The atmosphere, the gaiety and cheerfulness of licentiousness and moral laxity was restored. The theaters were reopened. There was a stern reaction against the morality of the Puritans. Morality was on the wane. There was laxity everywhere in life. All these tendencies of the age are clearly reflected in the literature of the period. So next will be continued by Lala. Time is yours, Lala.
Okay, thank you, Uswatuni. All right, everyone. I will continue the previous point. During the Restoration period, there was a rapid development of science. The establishment of the Royal Society was a landmark in history of the interest in science began to grow. The growing interest in science resulted in the beginning of rational inquiry and scientific and objective outlook. Objectivity, rationality, and intellectual quality also enriched the literature of this period. The French influence was predominant during this period because the king had spent the period of his in France. The French manners and fashion spread from the court to the aristocracy. It also influenced contemporary literature. And the next point is religious and political conflict. This era witnessed the rise of two political parties, which are the Whigs and the Tories. These parties were to play a significant role in English politics. The Whigs sought to limit the powers in the interest of the people and the parliament. The Tories supported the divine right theory of the king and strove to restrain the powers of the people in the interest of the hereditary rulers. The rise of these political parties gave a fresh importance to men of literary ability. Almost all the writers of this period had political affiliations. Dryden was a Tory. The religious controversies were even more bitter. The supporters of the Puritan regime were fanatically persecuted. And the nation was predominantly Protestant and Catholics were unduly raised. The religion of the king himself was suspect. His brother James was a papist, or we can call it Roman Catholic. As Charles II had no legitimate heir, it was certain that after him, his brother James, a Catholic, would succeed to the throne. Efforts were made to exclude James from the throne. The king sided with his brother and obstacles for the accession of James. Dryden's famous poem Absalom and Achitophel reflects these religious and political conflicts of the day. And the next point will be delivered by Enggar Vania. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Lala. And the last is the Revolution of Restoration era. So this era, James II ascended the throne in 1685. He soon revealed his Roman Catholic prejudices and he secretly tried to establish Catholicism in the country. He became unpopular within 3 years and the whole nation rose against him. The bloodless revolution of 1688 called the Protestant William and Mary of Orange to the throne. The country was once again restored to health and sanity. This deep and vigorous movement brought about certain change in the inner social life, with the revival of factions and parties and the excitement caused by the Popish Plot. The quality of words and order revived in civic feelings, so that the tone of literature and of social life is somewhat modified. With the political and moral transformation which began in 1688, the very keynote of English literature and of English life was greatly changed. It can be said that the last years of the 17th century from a distinct period. It is a brief but well-marked transition starting the restoration from the age of classicism. And so that's all from our presentation today. We hope you can understand what we have presented. Sorry if we made some mistake. Thank you and have a great day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.